What's up guys, Smith here. Quick guide for today in schedule 1 on how to set up an automatic meth farm so the workers do all the work so you don't have to. Now, this is a bit more complicated than the weed one, but I'm going to go over the whole process. You know exactly what to do. Just a couple of notes first. You do not need this running 24/7, okay? A couple of days of this and your supply will outstrip demand very, very quickly. So set one of these up, get enough supply to keep your dealers stocked up and you with enough to sell, and then just let it run out or turn it off and come back when you need some more. You don't need these running 24/7. The same with the weed one we've got up. Just a couple of days is enough to get you plenty of supply. So they have updated the game today to allow chemists to work with 4 stations, which is going to reduce the cost for all of this. So you want to set it up in groups of 4. So I've got enough here for 2 chemists. If you just want one, you will just need 2 chemistry stations and 2 lab ovens. So you need 4 stations for each chemist. So we're going to go over my setup here, which is going to be for 2 chemists. We're going to have 4 chemistry stations and we are going to have 4 lab ovens. Behind each of those stations is a shelving unit. I'll get to that in a minute. It doesn't have to be in this exact layout, but this does help, especially if you leave the gaps in between, because the NPCs can get through there and they can reach the shelves a little bit quicker. As they are a lot slower at doing the things than you, it's best to try and make their movements as efficient as possible, just to sort of limit the amount of time they're wasting. So, how do we get started? I've got 2 chemists out there, so you're going to need 2 chemists and a worker. I've already assigned the chemist some of the stations, so I'm just going to go over these so you can see what I'm doing here. So we've got the chemist there on these stations, so we're going to assign this one, and then we're going to assign this one. So that one chemist has these 4 stations here, and then the other chemist is going to have the other 4 stations. Pretty much it for the chemist. The chemist role is pretty much just monkey work. They just run backwards and forwards carrying boxes most of the time. So this one there, this one there, this one there, and then this one there. So that's all of your stations are now assigned to chemists. Now what you need to do is go through each of the chemistry stations and make sure the recipe is liquid meth. If it's not liquid meth, it won't do anything and they'll just sit there and achieve absolutely nothing. So I'm assuming at some point he's planning to add new recipes because it's the only one there, but just make sure they're all on liquid meth. And then what you want to do is, again, manage the chemistry table, go to the destination and make sure the destination is the oven opposite. So we're going to go destination oven and we're going to do the same thing again here. Manage the station, destination oven, manage the station, destination oven, manage the station, destination oven. So what you've done so far is you have told the chemist that you will work on this station and this station, this station and this station. And then you have told the chemist that once they're finished on the chemistry station, they will move the supplies from the chemistry station to the oven. So they are preparing their own second steps. So they'll cook the liquid meth here. They will then move the meth here. And then their second objective is to come here and cook the meth itself. So then all you have to do is manage the lab oven and select the destination as a shelving unit behind. So we're going to go and do that for each of them. Destination, shelving unit, destination, shelving unit. Now you don't need to do this on full shelves if you don't want to. This just means that there's longer before you have to come back. So this is a conveyor belt system. If any point of the conveyor belt fails, the failure will cascade backwards and it will all fail. So if you put them all to put onto this one shelf here, and this shelf is full, eventually it will stop the whole thing from working because the final step of the conveyor belt is broken. That's simply why I'm using the 4 shelf method. You don't have to do it if you don't want that much supply, but just keep an eye on things if they go wrong. So once we've got the chemist all set up now, so the chemist will cook liquid, move it to there, cook into solid meth, move it to there, and just repeat the process over and over again. The missing mark now is the supplies on each of these benches. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. It took me a while to figure this one out. This is all about the way you have it set up on the storage. So whenever you bring one of the worker guys over here, the handlers, they will take items in the order of which they are displayed. So they will take this one, and then this one, and then this one. So if you have it like this, and you tell him to pick it up, he will put all 3 of these on the bench, and then it won't work. So what you have to do is put them in the order of which they're required. So just 1 of each. So 10 phosphorus, 10 acid, 10 pseudo. Do that across, so it's 10 phosphorus, 10 acid, 10 pseudo, and then repeat the process again. So this way, you have got 2 stacks of the items required on the shelves at any given time. Now you have to remember to make one of these, so 1 phosphorus, 1 acid, 1 pseudo, takes 7 minutes just to cook it. So you need to be careful that you're going to, it's a long process. So just make sure you've got these stocked up with 2, and that's enough for sort of 2 in-game days, pretty much. It will go through it. So everyone should be good to go. I'm just going to show you how to assign the worker now. So we're going to go over to the handler. I'm going to not use this one because every time I use Gary, he breaks. He really annoys me. So we're just going to go through and we're going to give this guy a time to shine. So now his job is going to be shelf to table. And then we're going to go down the whole line and do it that way. He is going to go shelf to table. Shelf to table again. So he is going to come in. He is going to take the first 3 items off of that shelving rack. And then he is going to put them on these stations. Now, this is where you have to be careful. If you refill these, you must keep them in the order shown here. So it doesn't have to be these 3 specifically, but it has to be 1, 1, 1. If you have 2 of the same at any point, it just completely breaks. And make sure when you're filling up the station with extra supplies, you always have 1 of each in a row without any interruption. He won't do anything right now because it is 4 a.m. So just a quick note on that. At the end of the day and stuff like that, so you can cook this yourself to save a bit of time. You don't always have to sleep. As soon as it hits 4 a.m., the workers will stop, but you can just keep going. So they've all been paid, I think. So they should all be fine. So this money I'm earning right now is off the weed farm that I set up like 3 real life days ago, and I stopped it, and it's got enough weed to keep going. So you don't need this running 24/7. So now what's going to happen? The worker, Mr. Thomas, is going to come in, and he is going to take a selection of items off of there onto there, and he's going to repeat the entire process down the conveyor belt down to the last station. Just hoping I left enough of a gap for him to use in between the shelves there. I don't think I did. I think he's going to walk around now, which is a bit slow. So if you're doing this for yourself, there's no harm in putting all of these on here first. So putting 10 of each ingredient on there and then filling the shelf up with the 2 sets of spares. The only reason I didn't do that is because I wanted to show you guys this in motion so you can see that it works. So he is now grabbing what should be the pills as the last ingredient, and that should leave on these shelves a 3 set of each. So again, you've got the phosphorus, you've got the acid, and then you've got the pills. So if I wanted to fill that shelf up again now, I would make sure, and always make sure you've got stacks of 10. If you throw in odd numbers, it will mess it up. I will go for the phosphorus, the drink, and the tablets. Now, it's a bit easier after the first time because he will just top it up every time 1 goes down. So he will only put on ingredients that are already on there. So he should tick along quite nicely. As you can see, the first chemist that we've assigned to the bench has already come in because the first stage of the conveyor belt is full when all the materials are on the rack. So she's going to cook that there. Her task then, remember, is to put it onto this table here. She will then cook it automatically and she will put it on this conveyor, this shelf here. She might go over there and start cooking first, actually. So the first day you set this up will be the slowest just because the conveyor belt's got to sort of get starting. So it's like putting the first item on and it's got to go around the whole system. Once it's running through nicely, these guys will be working constantly. But as I said, you've got this sort of 8-minute timer on this first one, and then you've got another 6 or 7-minute timer on the second one. So it's a slow process, but this allows you to automate the entire step. So this should work nice and easy, nice and through the whole system. If you want to start mixing stuff, that's where it gets a little bit more complicated with the meth, just because of the time investment. I do need to crunch the numbers. I still think it's worth it because with the right meths, you can be making 2 or 3 times per what you're making with the weed. We do have a detailed guide up already on the automate the mixing process, but I will drive over just to show you guys real quick what the system we've got set up, just so it makes a bit more sense. So this is where our mixing process happens. Again, you can do this all in the same place. We're just kind of experimenting with what we want to do. So we've got the mixers all set up and in the shelves unit behind it. So again, I have got a detailed guide up on this on the channel. Just look for the Weed Factory video. So I'll just break this down really quickly. All you have to do is whatever shelf your meth is being put to, you want to use one of your workers. So we'll go with Nick here, for example. We'll select Nick. Oh, not Nick. He's a chemist. So I haven't got any workers left here. But you select one of your workers and you basically tell them to carry anything from your meth shelf over to the mixing station. You then use the mixing stations and you select the destination as the next mixing station all the way down the conveyor belt till the end. And then you have your workers put whatever mixes you want from the shelf onto here, from the shelf onto here, the whole way down. Again, more detail on the weed video. I don't want to make the same video twice. That's just sort of general breakdown. That will then allow you to have an automatic meth farm with automatic mixing and should make you earn a lot of money. So there goes. That's it, quick, nice and easy. Get when you get back to the game. If we helped you out today, do like, subscribe. We do appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care now.